if you are looking to play at 1440p resolution and you are searching for a new graphics card, this video is going to be for you. GPU prices are very decent right now, and I will show you the best GPU for every budget to play at 1440p resolution, also while showing you the gaming performance for each graphics card. All the links to these GPUs will be down below in the video description. With that being said, let's start. If you are on a budget, I think there's no debate, the RX 6700 XT from AMD is going to be your best option. In this list, I will mention every GPU that has at least 12 gigs of VRAM because it's going to be helpful at 1440p resolution, and I would not recommend you getting a GPU that has less than 12 gigs of VRAM for 1440p unless you only play games like Roblox, Minecraft, and very easy to run titles. Anyway, the 6700 XT is going for $330, and on the latest test from TechSpot on a 12 game average at 1440p high to ultra settings on very high demanding titles, the RX 6700 XT was able to average 67 FPS, which is a very smooth number considering we are talking about high demanding titles on ultra settings. So if you want to play at 1440p, I wouldn't recommend you going with a lower end GPU, once again, unless you play very easy to run titles. If you spend $70 extra, you can get the RX 6800, which has 16 gigs of VRAM and is going for $400 at the moment. And in terms of performance, it's about 20 to 30% faster than the RX 6700 XT. So it's a much faster graphics card in terms of performance. And on that same test on ultra settings I have mentioned before, the RX 6800 was able to average 84 FPS, which is a much higher FPS number than the 6700 XT. So if you want a 1440p ultra experience, I would start with the 6800 and above. If you must have Nvidia because you want an Nvidia GPU and maybe your favorite titles work better with Nvidia GPUs, or perhaps you're a content creator and your favorite program runs better with Nvidia, then the 4060 Ti 16GB version is going to be the alternative. Just so you know, it's going for $50 more, and in terms of rasterized performance, it's about 15% slower than the 6800. So if you care about price to performance and you want the best native performance for the price, then the RX 6800 is a much better option because it's cheaper and it's going to be faster. Moving up a tier, we have the RX 7800 XT going for $490, and here we are talking about a GPU that can handle games at 240 plus FPS on average, of course depending on the CPU. So if you want to play games like Fortnite, Valorant, and these type of shooters, you can expect well over 240 plus FPS. So if you want to buy a 240Hz 1440p monitor, feel free to do so. On a 12 game average, the 7800 XT was able to average almost 100 FPS, which is very good performance, once again considering we are talking about high demanding titles on ultra settings. So if you lower the graphics settings to high, or if you decide to use the upscaler, which in this case is FSR from AMD, you will be achieving even higher FPS, especially in those very high demanding titles where you will need them. And then if you have more money to spend, you can consider the RTX 4070 Super, which in my opinion is the alternative to the 7800 XT, even though it's $100 more expensive, because you can get the RTX 4070 non-super, but it's only about $40 cheaper than the 4070 Super, so you might as well spend the extra $40 and get faster performance. The 4070 Super is about 10% faster in terms of rasterized performance than the RX 7800 XT, and you get the Nvidia technologies such as a better level of ray tracing, you get the LSS, which is the better image quality upscaler, and you get a better graphics card for content creation applications for the most part. So if you are willing to spend $100 extra, the 4070 Super is a solid choice. However, keep in mind that it has 12 gigs of VRAM, so if you want to upgrade to 4K resolution down the line, you are going to be limited by the VRAM, especially if you want to play very high demanding titles at 4K resolution. And in that case, at the same price point for $580, so at the moment is $10 less than the 4070 Super, you can get the RX 6950 XT, which will give you about the same rasterized performance as the 4070 Super, but it has 16 gigs of VRAM. I would only recommend you this GPU if you will play at 4K down the line because of the VRAM difference. Otherwise, the 4070 Super has a newer architecture and it has the Nvidia features. So if you're going to stick to 1440p for a long time, I think the 4070 Super is going to be the better option. And moving up a tier, we have the high-end 1440p resolution gaming GPUs. Here we have the RX 7900 XT going for $700, and in terms of performance, on that 12 AM average on ultra settings, high demanding titles, the 7900 XT was able to average 127 FPS, which is a very high number, and there's no game that you can't run on ultra settings at 1440p. Honestly, you will get amazing performance at this resolution, and also if you want to upgrade to 4K down the line, you can expect 70 plus FPS on average without the upscaler on, so you can expect even more if you turn on FSR. So if you want the best 1440p performance right now in terms of gaming, and then you want to upgrade to 4K, this is a very solid GPU. However, I want you to consider the RTX 4070 Ti Super. This one is $100 more expensive. It comes with 16 gigs of VRAM, which is going to be plenty of VRAM for 1440p and enough VRAM for 4K. It is a bit slower in terms of rasterized performance than the 7900 XT, just by about 3%, so very similar in terms of rasterized performance. But once again, because you get the Nvidia features, you get a better level of ray tracing, you get DLSS, which works better than FSR, and overall, if you like these Nvidia features, you want to pay the $100 premium. In my opinion, it's actually worth it, even if you're not going to use the technologies right now, because you might use them in the near future. And if you're already going to spend $700 on a GPU, you might as well spend $800 and get the most features. That's my opinion. And of course, if you do not want to go over $700 on your GPU, the 7900 XT is still an amazing option, and you will be getting top tier performance. Keep in mind though that you may have the best GPU for 1440p or a nice budget one like the 6700 XT, but if your CPU is trash or if your entire system is not great, you are probably going to be bottlenecking your GPU, making your gaming performance much slower. For that reason, I highly recommend you watching my video on the best entire PC builds for every budget and every resolution, where I go over 1440p PC builds there as well, and you will have that video in the top right of the screen. Thank you guys for watching, thank you for the support, and I will see you on the next one.